Hi everybody, it's me, Matt from Matt Likes Comics. Welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be a video about an artist that I really like from the late 60s, 70s, and 80s. Similar to the video that I did about Keith Giffen a while back. But before we get going, I want to go send out a shout out to someone who is very big fan of the channel, Susan Getner. I want to say thank you very much for being a fan. You've been very encouraging with your comments, and you and your husband Stephen have been very friendly for me and to me and nice. And I just want to give a shout out. It's fans like Susan and Stephen that make doing this a lot of fun because I know people are enjoying it, and I'm enjoying myself making it, and I just want to make sure that everybody who watches enjoys it too. So thank you, Susan and Stephen. So today's topic is going to be one of my favorite artists from as I said, the mostly the 70s, but a good chunk of the 80s, a small part of the 90s, and he started in the 60s. It is a man whose name is James N. Aparo, but he's better known as Jim Aparo. Jim Aparo, who was born on August 24th, 1932 in New Britain, Connecticut, and he passed away in a place close to there. I didn't quite catch where it was on 19 July 2005. He is one of my favorite artists who primarily worked in the 1970s and 80s for both Charlton Comics and DC Comics. He got his start um, with Charlton back in the late 60s. He has considered himself self-taught from comic books, especially the superhero genre, by copying Superman and Batman comics of the time, drawing them out and playing with them. Um, this was in the late 40s when he was, growing up a bit. He um, he did take some art classes at the Hartford Art School, but he did not graduate from there because he wasn't able to continue paying the tuition to go. He has claimed that his biggest influences were Alex Raymond and Milton Cariff. He met Dick Giordano, who, of course, we all know was a big editor at Charlton and then later at DC. Um, okay, basically ended up becoming lifelong friends and colleagues. And they met during a summer vacation where Dick saw him drawing and saw the potential that Jim showed and decided to give him chances. Later in life, once he got a bit of experience, he broke into the field first at the comic strip Stern Wheeler, which was written by Ralph Canna in 1963. This was his first paid gig. But this lasted only less than a year, and at which point Aparo was stuck moving to the advertising world in order to make a living because this was his trade and he wasn't really able to do anything else. Well, sure enough, 1967, in 1966, sorry, Dick Giordano comes to knocking and offers him some work through Charlton. His first work was for a character named Miss Bikini Love in a book called Go Go Comics, and it was issue number 5. Okay. At Charlton, he worked in every genre and every story he could possibly do because of the $15 page rate that he received, made him have to take as much work as possible. He was allowed to supplement his income by also doing his own inking and lettering. This here is The Many Ghosts of Dr. Graves, issue number 5. He didn't do the cover, but Aparo did 2 of the 4 stories in the book, and as I said, he did the lettering and the pencils and the inking. and you start seeing the first distinctive parts of Aparo's art. Aparo is known for drawing men smoking pipes. And one of the reasons that is because Aparo himself was a pipe smoker and he rather enjoyed it, to his detriment later in life as he passed away from cancer. But this unfortunately is the only book I currently have of Aparo's work at Charlton. The Ditko did the cover, by the way, for those wondering. But as I said, he did a lot of starting with this book and the Go Go comics. He ended up doing almost 120 stories for Charlton over the next 5 years. At which point, besides Dr. Graves, he worked on The Phantom, and he did the Nightshade feature in the Captain Atom comics. He did all the stories in Love Diary and for Ghostly Tales for a while. Now, by all the stories, I mean he would do 2 issues of Ghostly Tales and take one off. 2 issues and take one off as he was doing work. He was known for doing a lot of work fast. At this point, Dick Giordano had moved on to DC Comics, and one of the first things he did within 3 to 5 months was he managed to steal some of the Charlton employees over, including Aparo. Aparo to him was his coup de grace, by getting him over because Aparo worked fast, worked hard. Originally, he came over starting with the Aquaman books. Aquaman Series 1 was just finishing up, so there was only 4 or 5 books in that series he got to do after Nick Cardy left the book. But he was given The Phantom Stranger, and because this was a bi-monthly book, he was still able to do work over at Charlton on The Phantom. He kept that job for about 5 or 6 months afterwards. But what happened, I've got another book here from The Phantom Stranger. This one actually is a very good Aparo cover. By the way, for the majority of books I show now, like this one here, this was Phantom Stranger 24. And this one is Phantom Stranger 23. Aparo does the covers as well. I tried to pull books out where he was the cover artist for that simple fact that it give you samples of his gorgeous, gorgeous work. As you can see, by this point, he has definitely developed his distinctive style. While he was doing Phantom Stranger, after he was done at Charlton, he started getting pages in the House of Mystery and the House of Secrets because Aquaman was no longer available to give him. However, with Brave and the Bold 98, featuring Batman and the Phantom Stranger, Aparo was asked to do that book because he was the regular Phantom Stranger artist at the time. And at the time, the Brave and the Bold was trying to use, for example, if the Flash was in it, they'd bring Carmine Infantino. If the Superman was in it, they'd bring Kurt Swan. I mean, Batman and Superman really didn't play in Brave and the Bold anyway because they had the world's finest title. But you get the picture. They bring Nick Cardy came over to do some stuff. They bring in artists who worked on regular titles. They brought Gil Kane over when it was Green Lantern, for example. However, the Phantom Stranger Batman book sold so well and impressed the bigwigs over at DC so well that they gave Aparo the Brave and the Bold on a permanent basis. And he did the majority of the books of the Brave and the Bold after that until 200 in 1983 when the Brave and the Bold was canceled. Here's a few of the covers. This is Brave and the Bold 160, which is Batman and Supergirl. And here is 175, which is Batman and Lois Lane. And this here is Brave and the Bold 192, Canadian price variant, Batman with Superboy. Yes, Superboy. Not Superman. This is one of my faves. As well as doing The Brave and the Bold, he was doing quite well. He was also asked to do the Spectre books. In the Adventure Comics, decided that the Spectre was going to be the #1 guy. So Jim Aparo ended up doing all but 2 of the 10 issues of the Spectre. Here's Adventure Comics 431, which was the first appearance of the Spectre in Adventure in this run, an Aparo cover. Here is Spectre 435, sorry, Adventure 435 with the Spectre. Not only did he do the Spectre story, but Aquaman returned to the book, and he was given the Aquaman story as well. So here we have the last Spectre book of the run, Adventure Comics 440, and it probably has the best cover. This is probably the best cover from the run, at least as I like. Aquaman returned to Adventure Comics after that. As we said, we saw that he did that. But he didn't always... Nick Cardy came back to do some of the covers. But this particular cover was Jim Aparo. One thing about Aparo, when it came to Aquaman, he gave him that distinctive hair thing. So you were able to tell definitely when it was him. Aparo was the artist for when Aquababy died as well. He had that significant thing. But not long after The Brave and the Bold was canceled, he was given a job with Batman and the Outsiders, as well as some work on the regular Batman. By the way, here's another Aparo cover where he's got the Weather Wizard of Aquaman. This is Adventure Comics 450. So he was given the job for Batman and the Outsiders, as well as regular Batman books. Now, the thing is, at this point, he was no longer doing everything. He was no longer doing the inking on his own books and the lettering. They were paying him better, and they had realized the amount by taking away the inking and the lettering, he could pencil more books. Because at this point of his life, Aparo was known for getting 5 to 6 pages a day done. And that included doing his inking and lettering and pencils. So he was a workhorse. And so Aparo was considered the guy to do a lot of work. So by taking away the other parts and penciling, it was known that Aparo could pencil 8 pages a day by himself. Unlike a lot of his contemporaries who did 3 to 5 pages a day, he would and was able to supplement. So what I'm going to do for the rest, basically Aparo's, the next stage of his career was all Batman. So I'm going to show you some of the Batman Aparo covers. This is Batman 336. Batman 293. And this is where he drew Superman and Batman. I love this cover. Luther apparently punching both of them at the same time because he's got a kryptonite glove. Here is Batman 295, one of the earliest Aparo works in the title. Now, Aparo also did a lot of work on detective, more so than Batman title itself, but I wasn't able to. I don't. He didn't really do any detective covers, so I didn't really pull any of them. And this is one of the last Aparo covers on Batman. Are the next two. This is Batman. Actually, this one isn't an Aparo cover. He did the internal, but it's a John Byrne cover when John Byrne worked with him. So this is actually John Byrne, but Aparo did the inside and Byrne wrote the story. It was their only collaboration, and apparently it went really well. Here is one of the last Batman covers, though, he did before Nightfall. And even in Nightfall, he only did a couple covers. He did the vast majority of the covers were done by Bergoila, I think his name is. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's his first name's Norm, and most of you know who I'm talking about if you've read the books. Anyways, this is Batman 481. Maxie Zeus is on the cover. And by this point, he was working with Doug Doug Mensch as the writer. Anyway, the last books I have to show are Batman and the Outsiders, and these are 3 of the first 6 issues. Where this is the issue that immediately followed Brave and the Bold 200, which of course also, by the way, Jim Aparo did the insert in Brave and the Bold 200, introducing the Batman and the Outsiders, and he just continued on with the he was doing Brave and the Bold with Mike Barr at the time that the book went down. Mike Barr was doing most of the writing as Bob Haney was no longer involved. So that was issue 1. Here's issue 2, which is the first 2 books are a single story together, and they look like. And here is Batman and the Outsiders 6. This will be the last cover I've got to show you today. Anyways, this one's called The Coming of the Cryonic Man. Aparo's style was so distinct. He always had the hard jaw lines on the men. Most men were smoking a pipe, and most of the women had very soft styling hair with a bit of curl. And they still had that box style of face, but not as pronounced as the men did in the thing. His last major work, he did the Green Arrow series from issues 81 to 100, pencils only. But he was a co-creator of the character of Connor Hawke, who was like the son of Green Arrow, Oliver Queen. Thank you. Nothing in my mind. His final work for DC was the cover for the trade paperback Batman in the 80s. He did the cover for that, and that was his last work for DC, because at this point he was getting sick, and he was sick for a long time. He had cancer in his last few years, and that's how he passed away, and the cancer came from his long-time pipe smoking habit. He had won a Shazam Award in 1972. He won an Inkpot Award in 1993, and he was added to the Will Eisner Hall of Fame in 2019. To me, Jim Aparo is a big part of comics. I read a lot of books that he did when I was growing up. I read a lot of The Brave and the Bold. I always thought it was cool that Batman was teamed up with other people, especially people that I liked. I have one where he was teamed up with Karate Kid. I've got teams up with the Legion of Superheroes. team ups with Supergirl, Black Canary, Ragman, the Spectre, the whole gambit, right? I find that the Brave and the Bold Batman era was awesome. It's just as comparable to the Brave and the Bold tryout era. So, and as I said, Aparo was a big part of that, and he was a big part of my childhood because of his art and stuff. Please mention in the comments if you like Jim Aparo's art as well. Um, and if so, what your favorite characters were or character books. Aparo was the one who drew the Robin storyline where Jason Todd died. So he actually got his work published not too long ago when they did the Jim Aparo when they brought back What If Jason Had Lived. Aparo had done the art for that as well because basically it was the same story except the last few pages, and he did pages for both sides depending on how the voting went. Anyway, comment, like, and subscribe below if you like what you've seen today. I want to know what people thought about Aparo. Some people don't like him. I had a friend I grew up with, couldn't stand it, couldn't stand his art style. He found it too crude. But again, what I notice about a lot of these guys who are self taught is they just develop their own distinctive styles through that way. And what I find about the modern is a lot of these people's styles look a little more the same, especially in the 90s, due to the fact that a lot of them have the education and the techniques down that that these people pioneered. So I would put Aparo up there with Neil Adams as one of the best Batman artists ever, and certainly and probably Dick Sprang and Jerry Robinson as well. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. As I said, like, comment, subscribe below. Um, Thank you very much for spending some time with me, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. My name's Matt, and I like comics, and I hope you do too.